welcome back to Chattin Bout Chan. I'm your host, Ethan. I'm here with my co-host,
Mason.
And this is the show where we talk about, where Mason and I have been watching every single Jackie Chan movie, every movie that Jackie Chan's ever been credited with a main role. And we are currently on number 11.
Yes.
And the movie we will be talking about today is Snake and Crane Arts of Shaolin, made in 1978. And to kind of start off before we dive right into it, I want to bring up something that I was talking about with Mason before. So when last episode I mentioned to Mason, I said, oh no, we watched Snake and Eagle's Shadow, and that was Jackie's big breakout movie. And I was saying, oh, should we maybe, because he had like 4 movies that came out in 1978. And so if we were reviewing Snake and Eagle's Shadow, but that didn't come out till the end of the year, and then the rest of the movies we were watching in 1978 came out before, I just thought the continuity would kind of be off. So I went to check, and I mean, the power of Google, this just blows my mind. All I did was type in the names of the movie into Google, and it said right there on the right-hand side when the movies came out. And Mason, do you have any idea when you think these movies may have come out in relation to each other?
You mean Snake and Eagle's Shadow and Snake and Crane Arts?
Yeah.
Oof. No. But
so
maybe
this is,
I would say yeah, you tell me, I guess.
So get this. This is pretty cool. So I looked it up, and it says online that Snake and Eagle's Shadow was released March 1st, 1978 in Hong Kong, and Snake and Crane was released March 8th, 1978.
Wow.
A week later. How confusing would that have been? How confusing would that have been to go buy a ticket to see that movie? Oh, I'd like a ticket to that Snake movie. Which one? The one that just came out. So he had 2 movies that were both had like the same Snake in the title, but I don't know. I thought it was funnier.
Very similar titles. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, so I thought that was super bizarre, and I don't know whether Snake and Eagle's Shadow was an overnight success, but it was the movie that definitely that gave Jackie a lot more exposure to the public. So I thought that was super random.
Did you see anything about when they were actually filmed in relationship to their release? Because that's what I was wondering. Were some of these like filmed years prior and then just took forever to edit or something?
Yeah, that's a good question. I really don't know. When we eventually get Jackie on here, we can definitely ask him, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So one of the annoying things about watching this movie was Mason and I were planning on watching it on Amazon, but no thanks to our friend Jeff Bezos.
Former friend.
First of all, we had to watch the movie on former friend. First of all, we had to watch the movie on the Amazon. It's like Inception. It's like a Russian doll. You go on Amazon, and then you're like, oh, you can't watch a movie unless you have Amazon Prime. Okay, so I get Amazon Prime. And then I go to click on the Snake and Crane Arts of Shaolin, and it says you can't watch this movie unless you have the Kung Pao service. I'm like, wait, what?
I thought it was a Hi-Ya service.
So you have to pay an additional fee to watch any Kung Fu movie on there. So that's just ridiculous. That's outrageous. So I didn't pay. I did the free trial, and Mason did too. And we start watching the movie, and the restoration. It looks very good. The quality is quite good, but there's no English subtitles.
Yeah, and no English dub either. There's just no way to watch it in English.
That was pretty annoying. So I tried to do something kind of weird where I found an English dub on YouTube, and I had it playing in the background while I watched the higher quality version on Amazon. But it just got annoying. The cuts were completely different. I think the one on Hi-Ya was a Chinese cut. It was a little bit longer, had more scenes in it, and the English dub had a bunch of stuff cut out. And I ended up just halfway through just sticking to the one on YouTube, even though the quality's at 240p. Literally just watching a bunch of pixels move around, so it was kind of hard. But I got the idea.
Yeah, I just straight watched it on YouTube, and it wasn't that great. But I mean, the movie I enjoyed the movie overall. So
hold on, you're jumping the shark. So your verdict. So first thing is first is Mason. Did you like the movie?
I liked most of the movie. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. Again, as we've said in the past, a lot of these movies that Jackie has been in, these early Kung Fu films, are incredibly overplotted, unnecessarily extremely convoluted and just flat out boring. And I loved how simple this was. It's a very simple plot, and it was very enjoyable, and the time flew by. It was a nice surprise. Mason, do you want to summarize this plot in like 2 sentences?
Sure, and just for the record, I want the record to note that I actually have, I don't know if you can hear my rustling paper, I have notes that I took during the film to try and do better and be better than I've been in some previous episodes. So the movie follows basically this guy named Su Young Fo, who he basically has this book, The Snake and Crane Arts of Shaolin, and a lot of people are trying to steal it from him. And the book is important because it's the last kind of record kept by these 8 masters of Shaolin who mysteriously disappear. And so the only record left is in the book, which is carried by Su Young Fo, and there's lots of people that are trying to get the book from him. So it's basically just him being attacked kind of over and over again with people trying to get the book. And it's really entertaining.
Yeah, that's it. And so it's very simple, very entertaining, and let's kind of dive into the details, the nitty-gritty of the movie. So we'll talk about the movie first, and we'll talk about Jackie's performance. The movie opens up kind of like, I guess this seems to be a bit of a cliche now, is that all these kung fu films kind of open up with a highlight reel of the main star's skills. It's like 4 minutes of Jackie in front of a red screen showing off his technique and martial arts skills. It's fine, but
kind of it's behind the credit sequence too. So there is a sort of
I was just gonna say, well, no, I couldn't really enjoy it because those big ass credits were covering everything.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I could really appreciate it. That was really annoying. But yeah, that was the opening sequence, and then it dives right into saying how these 8 Shaolin masters, for no reason, just like got together and created the most deadly martial arts technique, and they wrote it down in the book, and then they all disappeared. So again, a classic kung fu film, not giving any reasons for anything other than just a reason to set the plot in motion. So the movie opens up with that, and within like 2 minutes, Jackie's on screen. First of all, Jackie has the most 70s haircut in this film I've ever seen.
He's also got a lot. He's got a lot of eye makeup on too.
I didn't notice that.
Looked like Dennis Reynolds from Always Sunny in the episode where they're trying to do the '80s rock band. He's got like the raccoon eyes.
I did not notice that, but his hair is ridiculous, and so everyone thinks that what was his name? Su
Young Fo.
Su Young Fo has the book, and he's in this town, and he's a wanderer, and he's in town to find someone, but doesn't know who they are, and says that they'll come looking for him when he just says they'll come looking for him. And so, it was so funny. One thing I took note of was the dub on YouTube when he's in the restaurant and he meets the like homeless woman who is not actually homeless. When they order a bunch of food, the waiter comes over, and when he gives them the food, instead of saying bon appetit, he goes bon appetite. I was just like, what the hell? That was super random.
Well, some of the voices were really poorly done too. It sounded like I really thought it sounded like one of the Wilson brothers from the Beach Boys, like in like a bootleg, like, "Hey, you gotta turn that microphone up" or something. It just sounded like an offhand remark, but it was like main dialogue. It just wasn't well done. I thought it was maybe like a fan made dub or something. But some of the voices sounded so familiar that clearly the same team that's done some of the movies we've watched. So I don't know why some of it was so bad.
Yeah, they tried to really put on goofy accents and stuff, and it was really bad. It was terrible. Also, Mason, what a coincidence! I'm wearing my Brian Wilson T-shirt as we speak.
Nice.
Yeah, so a little Beach Boys connection there. Oh yeah, and there was just like, I just kind of pointed out, I'm looking at my notes, some of the really bad dialogue. So basically, Jackie is in town. By the way, in this movie, they credit him as Jackie with a Y, not I-E, which I thought was... I don't know when he starts going by I-E. Do you?
No, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out
Yeah.
later. But I did notice the Jackie with the Y on other
And
previous movies to this.
and also, just as a side note, this movie was produced by Lo Wei, but directed by somebody else.
That's
And
probably why it didn't suck.
yeah, exactly. Lo Wei has no idea how to help to direct a movie, and I think in Jackie's book, he's not clear, but it had to be Lo Wei who he was having issues with, because that guy just all of his movies are so boring and just horrible. But yeah, this director did a good job, kind of keeping the fights coming and the movie moving forward. And this movie is just literally just a collection of super short fights and 100 million characters. And one of the main characters is a woman who, when you first meet her, you think she's a boy, but she's very small and she's dressed up homeless. And then you find out she's a woman. And even after Jackie finds out she's a woman, she keeps dressing like a homeless beggar for the entire movie when she doesn't need to. So I don't really know what the point of that was.
I don't know. Well, maybe she was trying to. I don't know. It seems like maybe she was trying to keep her identity secret from other people as well, but they don't really explore that or explain it. So that was just something that I inferred based on nothing.
And so yeah, and she's the daughter of the leader of the Dragon Clan. And literally, there's like a million clans in this movie. You have the Ting Clan, the Beggars Clan, the Wu Clan, the Black Dragon Clan, and some other. And I guess they're mercenaries. There's 3 guys who look like they're the Raiden from Mortal Kombat. And yeah, we'll talk about those guys later because that was pretty let down. So yeah, this movie's filled with a bunch of random fight scenes. Jackie, in like the first third of the film, he fights these 2 women, and out of nowhere, a random dude just comes in out of nowhere and slices one of the women's throat, and then stabs the other one in the stomach, and then kills 3 other men who came in to protect the women. And then he leaves. And he says, they're like, oh yeah, he says, Jackie's like, who are you? And he goes, I'm a friend. He goes, what kind of friend?
Yeah.
And he goes, a friend.
That sequence was absurd. Because it went even longer than that. It was just like, he was even like, do you always speak in 2-syllable sentences? And he's like, mostly yes.
Well, it turns out, you find out like 20 minutes later that guy is actually working for the Black Dragon Clan, who are the bad guys. So yeah, there's that weird stuff, and these are the moments in the movies that keep them funny and interesting. Otherwise, it would be pretty boring. So after that guy kills the 2 women, there is the woman. She's the who's like the beggar. She's the daughter. Her dad wants the book because they believe that whoever has the book can control the kung fu world. And it's just I don't even know what that means, but okay, sure. It's so funny. It's interesting about this movie is that the thing about these kung fu movies is that while obviously I can't do anything that's in these movies, these guys are all trained acrobats and performers. You know, it's all very impressive, but it feels super choreographed, and I feel like I'm watching a dance and not a fight, and that's kind of what I like about later Jackie stuff. And you know, I feel like I'm watching something that's more acrobatics, and it's all good. And Jackie is doing tons of flips and cartwheels and jumps in this movie, and it's all very tough, but it's not the Jackie I love, so I'm still waiting to get there.
Oh, but what about the fight in the restaurant? That was like a classic. That was like the first time we've seen that from Jackie, and that was like the classic
the early fight in the beginning. In the
restaurant? There was like the rolling around under the benches and using like a sign as like a weapon and
that's
all kinds of stuff. It was like wow, this is the first time we're seeing that. I thought that was cool.
Oh, interesting. That didn't stand out to me, but you're right. Yeah,
I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it from this. That was what I was expecting from the previous movie, from Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. But yeah, there were a couple of things like that. Like, I thought the fighting was overall great. Like it was
good. Yeah, it just felt
a major step up from some of the movies we've seen.
Oh, no question. Yes, that is true, Mason. It was amazing, and especially the last fight between Jackie and the leader of the Black Dragon Clan was very much. It was very good. But also the woman who played the beggar, she definitely was channeling like a Charlie Chaplin vibe. Don't you agree?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was doing the thing where she was like rubbing her nose after punching somebody, and the way she walked. It was her the way her acting reminded me more of later Jackie than Jackie did in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely true.
And then you have that one lady who shows up in the movie who says she needs the book to solve the mystery of her missing father, and we never find out about that.
Yeah. I like. Did you notice the dialogue when Jackie first met her?
There were some weird anti-female point of views in this movie that really rubbed me the wrong way. It was very
When he first
strange.
met her, he says, "I never do business with women." And then the last thing he says to her in that conversation is, "You'd be a much prettier girl if you smiled more." And I was like, Jesus.
I don't remember that line.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
It was like, wow. This is pretty bold.
But there are also some weird themes that they kept repeating in this movie, like, smart means you will stay alive longer, and nice guys die because they aren't smart. What?
Yep.
This was repeated several times.
It's kind of an odd lesson.
Yeah, and then there's the woman who says she needs the book to find her missing father. She later shows up and kills all the Black Dragon guys, and after she kills all of them, the leader all he says is, "Damn you! What do you want?" Acting as if it was just a minor inconvenience. But yeah, actually, let's talk about the structure of this film, because you pointed that out earlier, how it was weirdly structured. Why don't you walk us through what you thought it was like?
Well, I just thought the beginning, I guess the first two acts were great. Like, I mean, the main hook of the movie is really simple. Jackie has a book. Everyone's trying to get the book, and women are trying to woo him, and people are trying to kill him, and some people are being snakes and trying to trick him into giving him the book. And the beginning was just great. And then about 2/3 of the way through, there was this weird sequence where Jackie basically gets thrown into a holding cell, and they send in like this. Is he a mentally challenged person to do nothing? Well, basically they go into town and bring this guy in and get him into the cell with Jackie, but there's no real reason for that.
The guy? Oh, you mean the guy with the tobacco pipe who uses his tobacco pipe to fight people?
Yeah, like I didn't get that character at all, and it just threw me off, and the movie just falls apart from that point. It turns out that the fake beggar woman, her father is the leader of the black.
No, of the
Flying Tigers, and he's the main villain, right?
No.
Who's the bad guy?
Oh yeah. We missed an important part of the movie. So Jackie says he comes to town. He comes to the town. He says, "All I know." He goes, "I don't know who I'm looking for. I don't know what he looks like. All I know is that if I cause enough of a ruckus, they'll come looking for me. And the only thing I know that I will find the person I'm looking for if they have a certain mark on their chest." And the person that he is referring to, we find out later, is the leader of the Black Dragon clan. When he rips his shirt open, he has like this bizarre, it's like a black ink dot on his chest. That's it.
Yeah.
I was expecting a tattoo. I was expecting some sort of tattoo or birthmark. No, it's just like a black ink dot. I guess the arts department, the makeup department was being lazy that day. I don't know.
A very, very odd choice, because why not have the dragon tattoo? I just don't know.
Yeah. So her dad was a good guy.
But then who was the big bad at the end that revealed himself?
The leader of the Black Dragons.
I'm totally lost.
Okay,
that's how I felt watching the movie too. So that's
okay. So there's
good representative.
There's also, again, we mentioned earlier, there's two main characters in this movie. There's this one random character who's super creepy. He's from the Beggar clan, and every time Jackie is talking to women in a bedroom, the beggar is hiding behind a sheet. And he's like, "Oh, you caught me. Oh, you should." And then Jackie's always like, Jackie says, "Why are you here?" And the beggar, I don't really know what the beggar's plan was, but he becomes the main character in the second half of the movie, and he joins forces with the Flying Tiger clan to, basically everyone wants the book, so they join forces to try and capture Jackie together so they can get the book and learn the secret. Everybody wants to learn the snake and crane technique. And so at the end of the movie is basically Jackie, the Flying Tigers, and the beggar, and they all go to fight the Black Dragons. And when they're all fighting, the daughter of the Flying Tigers, she gets killed. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. the daughter of the Flying Tigers gets killed by two headbutts, and it's really brutal. And she's like bleeding everywhere, and it was pretty nasty. Super, again, classic kung fu films, things happening very fast, and her dad was pretty distraught. And then Jackie goes on to fight the leader of the Black Dragons, and of course he defeats him using the snake and crane technique. The sound effects were pretty sweet, actually. He like puts his hands together like a snake and then juts them forward like into his head, his chest, and then the guy just falls sitting around and dies. And that's it. That's the end.
Yeah. Oh, I just to circle back to your question about the structure of it. I mean, I think the first two-thirds of the movie were like a much better movie than we've seen, and the last third was kind of back to the
jumbled mess,
the jumbled mess, the low-way jumbled mess of like super convoluted plot and can barely follow who's who and why are they doing what they're doing. You know, I just had a.
Do you remember the part where Jackie and the slow guy break out of the jail? And the Black Dragons said that they're going to set up a trap for them, and then they lure them in. How did they know where they were?
How did they even know they got out?
Well, everyone knew they got out because they went down to the jail cell to find them, and they were gone.
But like, why even set a trap? Just go get them.
Again, folks, this classic kung fu movies that make no sense. Mason, you told me earlier that you had something mind blowing you had to tell me.
Oh, yeah, well, let's finish the movie because it has nothing to do with the movie.
Oh, it doesn't? Oh, okay. Okay. So after watching this movie, so Jackie's performance, he plays a very cocky and confident character in this film, and it works for the story, and it works for the vibe of the film. He's essentially invincible until he gets injured by the Black Dragons because it's a plot point, because he needs to recover and he needs their help, and everybody wants to be on his good side so they can get the book from him. And we didn't even reveal the reveal of the mystery.
Oh yeah, so you go ahead.
No, you tell it.
Well, it turns out that 7 of the 8 masters were poisoned by the Black Dragon gang, and so what they did was they brought Jackie in and taught him the ways of the snake and crane arts, and they had him carry around a fake copy of the book to try and lure the heads of the evil gang back to the lair so that they could they could beat him up and get revenge.
And that was it.
Yeah, and the last line of the film is "Buddha bless you."
Yeah, from the only master that survived the attack.
Yeah.
He goes, Buddha blesses you.
Yeah, I did like those 3 guys with that looked like the bell hats.
Yeah, they look like Raiden from Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, those guys were awesome.
That was such a letdown because they were hinted at in a really cool way throughout the entire film. These guys have a very ominous presence. They show up. They're mercenaries. And then at the end, when the Black Dragon leader and Jackie fight, he says something. He goes, "You guys come over and you take over." Anyways, they come over and they take their hats off. And I'm like, okay, well, that was the coolest aspect of their costumes. And then they pull out these spears, and then they have a spear fight with Jackie, which is actually a really good scene. Except I think the director maybe thought it was going on too long, so then the leader of the Black Dragon gang comes over and just kills the remaining 2 just to carry on with the scene. So that was super anticlimactic.
I did like how he was like, he basically just used them to tire Jackie out a little bit.
True.
You know,
that's true.
He sacrificed 3 men just to tire out Jackie. I thought that was pretty badass.
Yeah, and all of the characters in the movie look pretty standard, but the leader of the Black Dragon gang was particularly ugly. Like he looked like a proper bad guy, and I did like that.
Yeah, that's what I think. There were some really great things about this movie, and although the ending was unsatisfactory for me, I thought a lot of it was great.
If you want to talk about a really entertaining classic kung fu movie, I would definitely say this is up there with the ones that we've watched in the last Jackie films. For sure.
And this was a much better. I mean, this was another great bridge between what we've seen and where we know we're going with more of the classic stuff that he's known for.
Right, exactly. And so
I also really. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, mine is so dumb that you should go first.
No, go first. Because I'm going to talk more about the performance. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that my biggest laugh came after the end of the movie. I guess the person that ripped the video put up like these really strange messages, and I guess the guy who did it was named Herpo, and it was like, Herpo, you need Herpo, you want Herpo, you taste Herpo, you love Herpo. Just was like this really weird thing. I just laughed. I laughed so hard that my daughter woke up.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's classic YouTube. Those guys think they're gods. The people who rip these old movies and upload them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess without Herpo, we wouldn't have watched it. We wouldn't have been able to see it. But
shout out to Herpo.
Thanks, Herpo. I did need you.
So bringing it back to Jackie's performance, compared to his other ones and his future performances, he's very cocky and self-confident. He doesn't have. He's not silly. He's not down on his luck, and it's very straightforward. You know, nothing complex. But he was good. It felt consistent, and I bought it. And I thought he was. Yeah, he gave a very solid performance, and obviously, he was showing his martial art. He was showing the audience his martial arts at the highest level, which I think is definitely another aspect that probably sold movie-going audiences on Jackie, seeing that he could perform at this high level of kung fu. It was awesome. He was great. He was really good in the movie.
He was great. He was awesome. Yeah, this is probably one of his better movies we've seen. And just in terms of his performance, definitely one of the better ones we've seen.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm just even more excited to see where we go from here. But one thing I wanted to talk about, because I started thinking about it as I was watching this movie, was it reminded me of how I was thinking to myself, man, this would make an awesome Western. You know, kind of the way A Fistful of Dollars adapted Yojimbo. And I was thinking that either you and I could pitch this to Hollywood executives, that either this plot would make a great Western with a supernatural ending that no one believes that it is supernatural, but everyone wants it, kind of like the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah. Or it would just work as a great straightforward action film like Fistful of Dollars. I think this would be a really entertaining movie if you adapted it somehow and obviously worked on the plot and the ending a little bit more, but the mystery and the intrigue definitely reminds me of a spaghetti western.
It'd be hard to figure out how to translate the book into something else, but other than that,
that's what I'm saying. That's why you give it a supernatural twist. It's like something that will grant people. Oh yeah, this is what Mason. I remember. I came up with two ideas. One is either the character has a map to the hidden treasure that everybody wants, or you make it something supernatural that maybe you throw off the audience and you trick them to thinking that it's not actually supernatural, but then you delay it, and then something crazy does happen at the end. That would be sweet, because I hate movies that promise you something supernatural and never follow through with it. That's one of my biggest pet peeves of horror films.
But you hate the opposite too, right? Where supernatural stuff comes out of nowhere.
There's no context for it, for sure. But if you're saying that this guy has an item, like an old artifact, supernatural artifact, and there's all these legends around it, and you're building it up, and then when it comes to the payoff that something does happen, then that's awesome.
I've been thinking a lot about how, a lot of the old kung fu movies were remade into westerns, and I was thinking it'd be interesting.
Like what?
Like Seven Samurai.
That's not you said kung fu.
Well, I don't know. Asian movies that were based
Asian
on
Asian cinema.
Asian cinema that's been remade into westerns is a common thing. So I just thought it'd be interesting. What if you could go the other way? What if there are other famous westerns that could be remade into like Asian cinema, like martial arts films? Yeah,
that I love that idea. Well, they did do that with Unforgiven.
Okay, yeah.
So Unforgiven was adapted like shot for shot by Ken Watanabe in Japan, like the 2015. I want to say I saw it, and I didn't like it as much because it was the same movie, just with Japanese actors and samurais. Like it wasn't. It was literally the same concept about transitioning from the Old West or from the old Japanese society to modern Japanese society. The code of the samurai fading and capitalism taking over all these. Technology, westernization of the country. So it was very similar to Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood. and I liked it. It was beautifully shot and well acted, but it was the exact same movie.
I haven't seen it, but I bet it's great.
Yeah. Well, wait. Have you seen the original Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman?
No, actually.
Dude, that movie rocks so hard. You have to see it. It's awesome.
I'll check it out.
It's so good.
Yeah, I love the idea of westerns, but I don't know that many that I really love.
Well, like even though we didn't grow up in that time period, everyone compares comic films to westerns because they overdid them. They made so many, and they just became super generic and cliche, and just people grew tired of them. They beat it into the ground, that genre. So yeah, that's it. We've covered pretty much Jackie's performance, the movie, and kind of how I would adapt it. We're about to coming to the end of our podcast, but Mason and I were, pandemic is still raging, and some people might be going to the movies. I will not. Tenet just opened up in Europe. It comes out to the United States in select theaters next week. I am absolutely not risking my life to go see a movie and to boost Christopher Nolan's ego. I will happily wait till December or November to stream it from the comfort of my couch. So in the meantime, Mason and I have been giving recs for movies to watch, and I've decided that instead of talking about the movies that I've been watching, the ones I didn't like, I'm just gonna talk about the movies I've seen that I have liked. Because why would I talk about movies that I didn't like? Who's gonna watch those? Nobody. So, Mason, why don't you go first?
Really help people by getting them, letting them cross some stuff off their list. They don't have to check them out. It can save some people some time.
Okay, sure, that's a good point. Maybe I just won't talk about them as much.
Yeah.
So, Mason, why don't you go first?
Well, this is not a movie, so maybe I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I have been spending a lot of time watching, rewatching, I guess in some cases rewatching, in most cases watching for the first time, really old episodes of the original airings of Iron Chef in Japan.
Oh, I need to get on that, yeah.
They are so wonderful to see, and I loved them as a kid, but I just happened to find one on YouTube, and I was like, I haven't seen these in probably 20 years, so let me see how they hold up. And they're just so fun and engaging, and everything about them is just so great. The music and the way they shoot it is brilliant, and I love even down to obviously we're not huge fans of reality TV, but even down to the way some chefs have grudges against the Iron Chefs, and they've come there to settle a score, and it's just so you actually get involved, and you feel engaged or invested in the story, and you kind of rooting for the chef, but you're also you kind of want to see them crushed by the Iron Chef. They're just so fun to see. So, and there's 300
awesome.
episodes, and they're all on YouTube. So, in kind of a low quality, but I think what I do is just kind of sit far back from the TV and just pretend that it's the year 2002 instead of 2020, and it looks fine. And it's just been great.
It's a solid rec. I like that. Yeah, I need to check it out. I've never seen the Japanese version. I have always wanted to. So I saw a movie last week that I loved called Elevator to the Gallows, and I was shocked to find out that it came out in 1958 because it looked like it came out at least in the late 60s or the early 70s. It was awesome. It's a French New Wave film directed by a guy named Louis Malle, and I watched a feature about him after the movie, and the guy got his start. He was the cinematographer for Jacques Cousteau, the marine biologist.
That's
he
cool.
shot all of his stuff, yeah, and he said that was his film school. He got an internship with him, and it turned into 3 years, and he said that all he had done before Elevator to the Gallows was direct fish. And Elevator to the Gallows was an adaptation of a book, and it has a French New Wave and Hitchcock feel to it, and it was awesome. I loved it. And the main reason I watched it, though, I didn't find out all this cool stuff till after I watched it. The main reason I watched it is because I don't know if it's the only movie or the first movie that Miles Davis did a musical score for, and it rocked. And it was all improvised, by the way. There's footage of him watching the movie while he's playing his trumpet just to match the music with what's on screen, and it works perfectly. The movie is so well shot. The acting is great. It's a really pulpy, cool, intriguing murder mystery, and what I loved about it was that it was one of the few films that really captured the essence of Paris, and it made me want to be there. It was awesome. I loved it. Really highly recommended. Elevator to the Gallows. Great movie. Really ahead of its time. Awesome stuff. Cool. So our next movie here, I'm looking at the list. Jackie released 5 movies in '78.
I thought it was 6.
Snake and Eagle Shadow, Snake and Crane Arts of Shaolin,
6.
Magnificent Bodyguards, Half a Loaf of Kung Fu. Oh, 6. Drunken Master and Spiritual Kung Fu. Wow. That's crazy. So our next movie is Magnificent Bodyguards. It's on Amazon, so I guess it'll be another Amazon watch. Great, and
another way low picture.
It's another way low picture.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Well, I have no idea what this movie's about. I don't know if it's bad or good. I really hope it's good. And after that, we're on to Criterion. I am pumped.
Yeah, I'm looking for the Criterion movies. Those are going to be good. Like, really nice restorations, probably. I'm sure that they're not going to be like Bezos. They're actually going to put care into, like, getting the subtitles or the dub option up for us. So, yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm excited for that one. But I'm excited to just continue this series. I'm really enjoying these movies.
Yeah, so am I. It's really cool to continue to see Jackie to grow as a performer, and also the quality of the films as they get better and better and better. Just to think that
I gotta say too, like the pacing of it is really enjoyable. Like I mentioned this to Ethan the other day, or probably was weeks ago now, but time seems to have no meaning at this point in my life. That like I've done the nights where you just watch 2 or 3 movies in a row, and they can be fun, but they're also kind of exhausting. But to watch movies in like a marathon that extends a couple days or weeks, as we're doing with these, it just gives you time to really digest each movie and look forward to the next one. And it's a really great way to watch movies. I think I'm surprised there aren't. I guess are movie clubs like a thing, like the way book clubs are, or not?
Not that I'm aware of.
It's just a really fun way to watch something, and I guess
and
you don't have every actor that has like 150 movies to watch, so
that's true.
I don't know if it always would work, but it's been really cool to see his evolution.
Yeah, it's been, and like I said, it's amazing. I've said this before. It's amazing to think that he started out in like dirt lots with wooden tripods, film cameras, and wooden tripods, to shooting movies like Steel. What was that? Bleeding Steel with 3D and CGI, green screens, wires, super expensive cameras. That evolution is amazing. Going from just coming up with choreography on the fly with a bunch of guys wearing raggedy clothes to these $150 million films. I mean, that's amazing. I think it's really, and it just shows all the legwork he had to put into and how much experience he has. I think it's awesome.
Oh, before we go, we gotta do one more thing. We said we were gonna do.
What?
Shout out to Hong Kong legend Benny Chan.
Oh, R.I.P.
Who just passed. Directed a lot of great Jackie Chan movies, including Who Am I and a few others. I don't know. What else did he even do? New Police Story was pretty good. Was that the one where he's locked in the building?
More. That was New Police Story was the one where it was like the kids who were robbing banks.
There's Robin B. Hood. Apparently he did a TV adaptation of Fist of Fury starring Donnie Yen.
He did a what?
A TV adaptation of Fist of Fury that starred Donnie Yen.
Oh, wow, that's random.
I actually kind of want to see that. 95. But anyway, he just passed from apparently from some kind of throat cancer or nasal cancer. So, R.I.P. Donnie Yen. Thanks for the great films.
Yeah, R.I.P.
And thanks for contributing to the Jackie Chan legacy.
Yeah, R.I.P. Jackie Chan. You will be missed. So that wraps it up for this episode of Chattin Bout Chan. We're excited to come back next episode with Magnificent Bodyguards. And thanks for listening.
See you next time.